You know what time it is. It's playoff time in both the NFL and college football. It's chaos season. That's what time of the year, my favorite time of the year. You got the college football playoff semis. You got the wild card weekend, which ends tonight with the Texans taking on the Steelers in their special Monday Night Football game to end the weekend. And then you got WWE globetrotting. You got SmackDown live from Germany. Raw is live from Germany tonight. And last but not least, we got the Elephant in the Room segment later on today. And you thought the NBA was quiet? Think again. Because we got the Power Rankings, MVP Watch. And I'll show you the matchups for the divisional games next week for the NFL playoffs. So let's buckle up because this is Bishop. This is Bishop's Breakdown. So let's get into it. And you know how we do it. Let's break it down. So let's get right into it. Episode 12 of Bishop's Breakdown. So let's start with the Monday Night Raw Stranger Things crossover. Here's the good and here's the bad. Let's start with the good. The tag team title match, really fun. Figured this wasn't going to be a title change, but the way they're pushing Io and Rhea, it makes sense. So Io and Rhea defeated the Kabuki Warriors to become the new women's tag team champions. And the main event, until Lucha Party came into the equation with Dragon Lee, Penta, Rey Mysterio causing hoopla like it was Lucha Line instead of Bloodline rules, but whatever. But it exceeded my expectations because Braun is still new to this main event scene. Its first world title match besides NXT. And CM Punk has definitely lost a step or two, but still provided a fantastic match that kind of ended in a head scratcher. I figured it would be a disqualification or a no contest or Braun Breaker wins. I didn't see CM Punk pinning Braun Breaker clean in the middle of the ring. Don't understand. I don't get it. But it made people, feel that Triple H is not going to change titles on a Raw or SmackDown, but more on SmackDown later. So let's get to the bad of Monday Night Raw. First things, why even have this crossover with Stranger Things? Not one member of the cast, not even some stand-in, not even some extra was even in the arena or in the building or on camera or on a video package or nothing. Like, if you were a Stranger Things fan and you tuned into Raw for the first time, you would have been very disappointed. Besides the barricades having the little ropes that look like upside down stuff and the music, it was all spooky. It might as well just been a Halloween episode in January. So I don't understand what Netflix told them to do or what they figured they wanted to do, but it was a waste of time. And then the IC Women's title match with Maxine Dupree and the man Becky Lynch, which the man won, which is, again, head scratcher. But it was sloppy. Like, there was a part of the match where Maxine was supposed to be thrown through the ropes, but her momentum wasn't that strong, so it looked like she was going in slow motion. It was really, really wonky. Maybe that's why they pulled the trigger and gave it to Becky Lynch, or maybe because they knew the title match at the end of the night wasn't going to have changed hands, so they was like, oh, let's give the crowd some title change. That and the tag team championships. But it serves Becky no favors with this narrative that people are against her, and it definitely showed that Maxine was a fluke. And just like Becky's been saying for weeks since she lost the title. So what did you accomplish from that? And did you know that it's been a year since WWE Raw's been on Netflix? Yeah, I think Netflix and WWE Raw forgot about it once the show got started. Because they didn't do any big surprises. They didn't do anything like they did last year. I mean, last year they had The Rock. They had Roman Reigns facing Solo Sikoa for the Ulafala. But I mean, the ending of the main event was basically what Cody had to deal with at the end of 40. So I don't understand why. I don't know what they were doing. I, I, I mean, if that was their surprise and that's what they had planned, they could have just kept it and just ended it like they usually do and forget about the Stranger Things, forget about the 1 year anniversary of Raw, because that was stupid. Absolute stupid. Then let's go right to SmackDown, which was live from, quote unquote, live from Berlin, because it was filmed 4 hours before it was actually on the United States. So, but they finally pulled the trigger. I know what all y'all said, that Triple H is not going to change titles, big titles, on SmackDown or Raw and leave all these big title changes for PLE. But he clearly told the internet wrestling community, IWC, hold my drink, bruh, because we have a new, undisputed WWE champion in the form of Drew McIntyre. But he did it. He said he was going to do it. He won the first fall, lost the second fall, and then escaped the cage. And all thanks to Jacob Fatu coming in and smacking the crap out of both Drew and Cody when Cody tried to get him off of Drew so he could win it the right way, or whatever hot garbage he was trying to do. But while he was in the corner getting beat up, Drew just rolled out of the ring, rolled out of the cage, and boom, new WWE champion. But Cody is an idiot. Why in the world would you attack a pissed off Samoan in the form of Jacob Fatu? Just let him do his thing and walk right out the ring. But no, you got to be a super baby face and go, oh, well, I got to win it the right way. But, like, how's that working out for you, bro? You ain't got no title. Drew McIntyre is the new WWE champion. And thank you, Triple H, for actually pulling the trigger and not making him a big loser for the 30,000th time that he's been facing Cody Rhodes. Especially the match that he picked in Germany, overseas, with his people. But I'm glad he did that, and I'm glad that Cody is not going after the title right away. Maybe he will have some beef with Jacob Fatu for a month or so. So, because they got this tournament coming up, and the rumors has it that it's going to be Sami Zayn, which whatever. Because, Sami Zayn can't beat Drew, so for him to be the champion, he might as well beat the guy he can't beat, because that's what they did with Jey Uso, and that worked out so much for him. But on another side, for some reason, this SmackDown went by quick. Like last week, it was just a chore to get through the first hour, let alone the 3 hours. But this one was like, it had a focus. Focus on the main event of 3 Stages of Hell, with a lot of good wrestling sprinkled in between the ads and the commercials and the all that stuff. And the main event was commercial free, so you had that 3 Stages of Hell, and it was like a PLE. And I think they should use this formula. I mean, granted, they're not going to have an hour free every week, but they should look at what they did this week and keep doing that and building upon that, because that show was a lot better than it was last week. And it made it much easier to get through this episode than it has in previous weeks. And congratulations, Drew McIntyre. You deserve it, bruh. Like, the Scottish psychopath, indeed. Can't wait, because he's already been flooding the gates of X with his title win, showing what he does best, and that's promote himself and make him a superstar. Not just a star, a superstar. But speaking of good wrestling, you need to go out of your way to watch the open challenge with Carmelo Hayes defending his United States Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. Carmelo Hayes can go. And with Trick Williams on that brand, yeah, SmackDown could be a great, great show going forward. I mean, heck, add Obafemi to that mix, and it's going to be the show to watch. Like back in the day when it was SmackDown, if you want wrestling, you watch SmackDown. If you wanted sports entertainment, you watch Raw with Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar and John Cena and all them. Yeah, I hope they get back to that because SmackDown needs something. They got Matt Cardona, so they have all the talent. Ilya still there. They got all the talent in the world on the SmackDown brand that I hope they embrace it. And Triple H looks at it and says, let's make this a wrestling show and make Raw a sports entertainment show. I'm okay with that. I want to watch sports entertainment, I watch it on Monday. On Fridays, I watch my wrestling show. And vice versa. So keep it up, H. So enough with the wrestling. Let's move on to the college football playoff semis. If you wanted a competitive game, you had one in Miami versus Ole Miss. If you wanted to see dominance, like a dominating football performance, you would tune in to the Indiana Hoosiers and the Oregon Ducks because Indiana literally took them behind the shed and beat the absolute crap out of Oregon Ducks. Because everyone's like, oh my God, they're going to play them again. But now it's a neutral site. So the Indiana Hoosiers are going to get exposed. So they must have heard all of that. Like they definitely must have heard all that garbage that the media, the influencers, or whatever you want to call these clearly idiots on the internet talking about how Indiana ain't that good. Who they played, they ain't played nobody. Well, they beat the crap out of these dudes 56-22. And that score doesn't even show how dominating they were. Like, it was not close at all whatsoever. Like, it's like they just said, you know what, let them score a lot more than Alabama. So, so they can see how weak we are. But if they play like this, anywhere close to this, like I said last week, when they beat Alabama by a lot, they played just like that, and they beat they beat them down like they stole money from them or like they owed money to them, like the mob. So Miami needs to watch out because they barely could beat Ole Miss. Calls here, calls there that could have changed the game with that Hail Mary pass interference that could have been pass interference, could have been mutual, what they call it, mutual combat between the DB and the wide receiver. Because if they would have called that, it's not like it would have been first and goal at the one like they do in the NFL. It wouldn't have been a spot foul. It would have been a 15-yard penalty, and they would have had like 3 seconds or something to have another play. So they would have been a little bit closer. So maybe they would have scored a touchdown on that and, ended the game, and Ole Miss would have been in the national championship game. But I think the refs just wanted to let the game play out because they don't want to be the reason why either team made it or lost the opportunity to go to the national championship, to play Indiana Hoosiers in Miami Gardens, Florida, on June 19th at 7:30 on ESPN. But Indiana, it's their championship to lose. Like, if they play like they haven't played all year long, like Ohio State did last year against Michigan when they decided not to pass the ball and just run the ball. If they go out of character, then they're losing that game. In Miami, the Rocks, Warren Sapp, and all them people. Michael Irvin's going to be on the sideline, I don't know, doing whatever he's doing. Like, lay off the drugs, bro. But whatever he's doing, I get it. You're excited, but calm down, bro. Calm down. You're not the focus of this. These are the kids who are doing it, but whatever. Moving on. The Indiana Hoosiers, they're going to win. And I don't know if they're going to win by a lot, but if they play, like I said, if they play like they've been playing this whole college football playoffs, then Miami's going to be licking their wounds. Granted, this is a home game for the Miami Hurricanes. Like, they're at home. So, they're a 7.5 point underdog at home. But technically it's a neutral site, but not really. It's their home stadium. It's like Michigan playing national championship game in Big House. So the Indiana Hoosiers got a lot to prove, and if they want to prove that they belong and be an undefeated national champion, yeah, I'm looking at you, OSU. You lost one game, so but whatever. Uh, the Hoosiers got all the talent. Mendoza is a beast, and he clearly wants to win, be a Heisman winner and national champion in the same season. A lot of people haven't done that. A lot of people just win the Heisman, lose the national championship game, or lose the Heisman and then go on to win the national championship. But he was trying to do both, and I hope he does, because this is why people love college football, because a team that historically has been trash, like historically been terrible, like that's a basketball school. Kind of like when Duke is good on football, they're like, whoa, that's weird, because they're usually a basketball school, or North Carolina's. So when they do good in football, it's like, wow, like you notice this, and I hope this shows the committee that, you know, stuff like this is really good for college football, to not have the usuals in the Final Four or the usuals in national championship games. You know, like the Alabamas and the OSUs of the world. Like, give somebody else a chance, and they showed you that they belong. There's no doubt in my mind that the Indiana Hoosiers, they might never be this good ever again, because they might not only lose their coach to the NFL, or they might lose their quarterback to the NFL draft, or both of them. So they might not be as good as this ever again. So Hoosier fans, put your chest up, put your hands up, applaud this team, wear your merch, wear all your gear every day, because this might never happen again. So embrace this moment and cherish this moment, because it could be gone at a snap. You know, like a Thanos snap. And all of a sudden, you know, they're moving on. But just remember, national championships are forever. Once you win it, nobody, okay, maybe the NCAA, but bear in mind, nobody can take this championship away from you, even if they sanction you or something, some craziness. But you'll still remember this run, because this run is special, and that team is special. So it would be a super disappointment if the home team, pulls out the victory and beats the Hoosiers. But again, the way they've been playing, I don't see that happening, not whatsoever. So let's talk NFL wildcard weekend. Let's start with the good and end with the bad. The good, the Bears and Packers brought it. The Bears were down by 15 points and came back, like I said during the game, that they will come back, and because that's what they do. Fourth quarter, Ben Johnson, I don't know what he puts in their Gatorade, but it must be that special stuff that Bugs Bunny was given to by Michael Jordan in Space Jams all those years ago. But Caleb Williams he broke the hearts of the Packers fan, including some guy you might have heard of, Lil Wayne, which was real salty about the Packers losing to the Bears. But there was a guy that was really excited, Seth freaking Rollins. But moving on, the Eagles, the Eagles tried, I guess. I mean, I hear fans saying that the coaching staff, the OC, wasn't using Jalen Hurts to his best abilities, a dual threat. And that might be true, but they lost the game, and the 49ers, CMC is that guy. CMC, Christian McCaffrey, is that guy. But the bad news for the 49ers, who have to face the Seahawks, they lost George Kittle with an apparent Achilles injury, and that's a tough break for them because they're going to need all the firepower to beat a rested Seahawks team. And then the Rams almost lost, had to make a fourth quarter comeback with Matt Stafford to take down the 8-9 division winners, bear in mind Carolina Panthers, which I thought the Carolina Panthers were going to win that game. And then the other AFC game, the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Buffalo Bills, which is my favorite to win it all, gave me a scare because the Jags looked like they were going to take Josh Allen and say, this ain't your year either, bruh. I know all your kryptonites are sitting at home, and so you would think it's an easy coast to the Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills. But if they play like this, they might not make it. But assuming who's still left, with the Patriots left and the Broncos, and then later today the Steelers take on the Texans. This might have been their toughest test because the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is number 1 in the NFL, and they won that game. It's all about the W, so they only won by a few, but they will have to be facing the Broncos, and I think the Bills are better than the Broncos. Granted, they're number 1 seed, and they had, the better record than everybody else in the AFC. But I think the Bills are going to take care of them. And then you got the Patriots-Chargers game. It was a type of game. It was 3-3, 3-6, 3-9. Field goal. If you love kickers, this was your game to watch because considering all the games between Saturday and Sunday, this was probably the worst game of the weekend. But maybe the Steelers and Texans would show me that they're even worse. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers and C.J. Stroud are going to throw a dud because they both need to win this game. C.J. Stroud is new, but he needs to show the NFL world that he here. And Aaron Rodgers needs to show that he ain't done yet. They call him old man and all this, and he needs to just sit down and go somewhere. So they both need to prove the doubters wrong by showing a performance that they belong or they still need to be here. Because that Patriots-Chargers game was terrible. Patriots won by 13, but that's not how the game was played. It didn't get exciting, if you want to call it that, till the third and fourth quarter, the second half, that they finally scored a touchdown. But the big story out of this game, what is wrong with Justin Herbert and the fact that he can't win in the playoffs? It can't just all be on the team. It's on him. It's on Jim Harbaugh too. So this Chargers team was poised to be, good, but they get to the playoffs and they lose in the first round. I think in all the years that Justin Herbert's been a quarterback in this league, he's 0 for 3. So I don't know what the Chargers can do to make that step. Because clearly they're not drafting well or getting free agents or playmaking calls or any of that good stuff. They get there and then they're out. So at this point, might as well not even get there and stack up these draft picks and build there, and then they can become the Broncos or the Patriots of the world. Because as much as I criticize the Kansas City Chiefs, they're not going to be down forever. Or Baltimore Ravens aren't going to be down forever. So your window is closing on these teams being, mediocre, that you can be able to eke your way in like the Broncos and the Patriots and the Bills and the Texans all seem to do. But you're going to have to win those games. When you get there, you can't just be happy to be there. You got to win the game. That's why you play the game, to win. So let's get to what I like to call the elephant in the room segment. Hopefully this is your favorite segment because it's definitely mine because I can just talk about stuff that I've seen on the internet, seen on TV that makes me go, huh, that don't add up. Or I didn't realize that was a thing. So that leads me into this. So when's the last time you would tune in to SportsCenter and looked up and seen X player is ineligible academically and he can't play in the championship game or Saturday's game or this bowl game or whatever? Because it's been a while. Like, I don't know, since the NIL thing became a real life thing. Because I was listening to Dan Patrick the other day on his Dan Patrick show. Shout out to Dan Patrick. I go to his school. Full Sail all the way. But he was talking and he was brought up the point. When's the last time a college athlete has been academically ineligible to play a game? Because 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it was right there with the injury report. Like, player number 4 was ineligible academically. It didn't say what he failed or whatever, but it still said he couldn't play the game. But now it seems like with the NIL deals and these college athletes making millions of dollars, that they're hiding these things. Like, they will fix the things before game day so he's not technically, quote unquote, ineligible academically. But I've noticed that it's not a thing. Like, it's not shown that way. Like, it might still be a thing in the school, but ESPN ain't showing them being academically ineligible. They'll say personal reasons or a coach's decision or whatever. And it makes you scratch your head because they're trying to protect these $1 million athletes now. Like the NFL would protect these $1 million athletes by coming up with some quote unquote thing that they're not there for, but it's not actually that. And that should be troubling. Like, I didn't even think about that, but when Dan Patrick brought it up, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I not saying that college athletes are stereotypically not as smart as the average student, but come on. You're telling me that every single college athlete are smart enough to get a passing grade in every class all the time? Not one, not two. Out of all those schools, you're trying to tell me that now they're smart. Hey, I heard their post-game interviews. Some of them ain't that bright. No offense, but you're good at football, you're not good at mathematics or the English language for that matter. But you're trying to tell me that all of a sudden now they're smart and they can't, they're not failing classes? Because my parents used to be, EMU student or EMU professors. And they would talk about how the athletes aren't showing up to class or having other people show up for them or try to show up for them and all this other stuff. So, like, if that was happening because they're not that bright, why all of a sudden now they're the smartest kids in the world and they're not that bright? Not all of them. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me every single one is passing their classes and not one time have they failed the class. Like, they all going to school. All of a sudden now they're book smart. You can't tell me that. And now the world needs to look at them and be like, come on, like, tell me what's really going on, because just not make it a thing anymore. Show these kids that you can be dumb and still play football like it has been in the past. Because there's been high schools who, cover up, the quarterback not being able to read, but he can read the defense. So that's all that matters in Texas or wherever the high school football team is from. So, like I'm saying, when I see stuff like that, it makes you scratch your head and that grinds my gears because no one's talking about it. but it's a thing. Clearly. Like, tell me when the last time you seen that on the ticker. It says, blah, 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 academically ineligible, can't play tomorrow or next week or in the bowl game or in the playoff game. Because there's too much money riding on these players to let them not play because of school. Like, I know they're student athletes, but they're athletes first in this world. In this NIL ecosphere that we live in, it's all about the athletes, and being students is second to that. And it will always be second to that when you're giving these kids $4, $5, $6 million a year to play a football game in college. So I don't know what they can be done by this, because money makes the world go round. And me saying that shame on you, NCAA, ain't going to change a thing. But maybe a few people who hear this will be like, yeah, that's not right, and let's figure it out and change this, because it's not fair to these college athletes to be pushed through because they're good throwing a ball, or they're good scoring a touchdown, or they're good dunking a basketball, hitting a baseball, hitting a hockey puck, hitting a golf ball, hitting a tennis ball, whatever. Because it's in the long run of things, not all of them are going to make it to the next level. And now they're just been pushed through so much that they don't even know how to survive in the real world, academically. And they're just going to be lost. Because not all of them are making millions of dollars, but I guarantee all of them are getting pushed through because they're good enough to be on the Alabamas or the Ohio States or the Michigans or the Michigan States or whatever Division I school you might be a part of. You're clearly there for a reason, and they need you on Saturday. They need you in these bowl games. They need you in these playoff games, and these TV personalities, they need these players on their TV screens so people like you, people like me will tune in and watch these games. But that's the elephant in the room, and that's how I feel about that. Here's a quick little thing about Michigan Wolverine basketball. They had 2 terrible showings on basketball court. The first game, they barely won against Penn State at Penn State. Whatever. I figured they weren't going to dominate every team they played by 30, and they won. And then fast forward to the Wisconsin game, it was a brutal loss. Like they could not come back. They got close, and then Wisconsin said, "Stay down, boy." So, but realistically, I'm better off having this loss in January than in March. Because then you have time to get it together and figure out to not let that happen again, but know how to lose and deal with it. Because if you lose in the tournament, you out, you go home, you done, one and done. So you need to perfect your team, your play call, what you have around you, so you can, not lose those games, not lose those close games, and win those close games. Because in the tournament, you're gonna play with a lot better talent, a lot better pool of talent, and you can't lose those games. You can't get down. You can't stick around and then not be able to go over the hoop and, close out these games. Because I have high hopes for this Michigan Wolverines team. I think they're really, really, really talented, and they should be in the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis for the Final Four and the national championship game. So get it together, boys. You got my support from day one. So win, lose, or draw, go blue all day. Because hail to the victors, bruh. So here's the updated matchups, clearly not including the game later tonight. So you got the Broncos taking on the Bills. Then you got the Patriots taking on the winner of the Steelers versus Texans game. Then you got Seahawks taking on the 49ers, and then the Bears taking on the Rams. So next weekend should be a banger. and I'm all for it. I can't wait. I love me some NFL playoff football. So we got this NBA power ranking, similar to last week, because those teams are good for a reason. You got the OKC Thunder. I mean, they've won the last 3 in a row. They're 33-7, still with an 83% win ratio, 19-2 at home. People said they fell off, or people have seen how to beat them, i.e. the Spurs. But they're still the team to beat. They're the defending world champions. And you got the Pistons, 28-10. I mean, they lost their last game, but the Pistons are still top of the Eastern Conference. And I'm all for it. Like I love when the Pistons are doing good, their home team, Then you got San Antonio Spurs 27-12, and the Denver Nuggets are still on top of the West with 26-13, even without Nikola Jokic. They are riding the storm. Jamal Murray and all of them are doing what they need to do to maintain a consistent win-loss ratio until Jokic can come back, which I'm thinking he probably won't come back till after the All-Star break. Me personally is what I would do. I would give him all the rest in the world, especially with the team winning the way they're winning right now. And it's still early in the season, and you need him for the second half of the season. So me personally, I would keep him out until at least into February. But that's just me. So the MVP NBA watch list. You still got Luka on top, averaging 33.3 points a game, and he's still throwing out 8.8 dimes a game because he's that kind of player. And then you got Shai averaging 31.9. I mean, he won the MVP last year, so he's still number 2 in points scored or averages in the NBA. So you can't scratch at that. And you still got Nikola Jokic, still top 5 stats on points with 29.6. Number 1 in rebounds with 12.2. And number 1 with assists with 11. I mean, he's not even playing, and he's still on the top of the leaderboard because he averages so much that people are just praying that they can get close to his numbers. And then you got Cade. Cade's averaging 9.7 assists per game. So he's throwing out dimes, and he's scoring too with 26.7. So that's my MVP watch list. But I think it's going to go down to Luka and Nikola Jokic. Because the Joker and Luka Magic, they put on a show. So I think it's in the end of the year, you're going to see Luka and Nikola Jokic. Especially if Jokic can come back healthy and keep doing what he's been doing all year. There's no doubt in my mind that it's going to be Luka and Jokic for the rest of the year going back and forth of who's the MVP or who's not the MVP. 1A, 1B right now, in my eyes. So, but we'll see how the rest of the season works out. I mean, there's still a lot of games to be played. And we still got this All-Star break to come through. And so just mark my words. Bookmark this, and I'll tell you, it's either going to be Luka or Nikola Jokic winning the MVP. Unless somebody comes out of nowhere like a Giannis or a Shai just starts putting up 40 every game and averaging 39.99 points per game. I don't see him going back-to-back. I think it's between Luka and Nikola Jokic. Mark that, bruh. So let's preview a couple things. First, Monday Night Football. That's not Monday Night Football, but it's the last game of the wild card weekend. You got the Houston Texans taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers at Pittsburgh Stadium. You got Aaron Rodgers, the ageless one, in my opinion. I still think he's hella talented. I mean, obviously he must be talented to win as many MVPs, as many Super Bowls, and he's still performing at a high level. He might not be the numbers that we all used to, but I would never never bet against Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin in the playoffs together. But CJ Stroud and them with Nico Collins are going to try to play spoiler and show that they belong in the playoffs. So I think it's going to be a great game, evenly matched up. But I think the Houston Texans are going to pull out that victory and go face who they face the New England Patriots at New England on Sunday. So mark it. There you go. Mark it. Texans. Oh, and FYI, there's a guy on X who keeps, he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I get it. But, when you say, I'm going to deactivate my X account if the Steelers lose to the Browns and the Browns won, and he was like, JK. Now he's doing it again. If the Houston Texans beat the Steelers, I'll deactivate it. So, we'll see, bruh. I don't believe you. Nobody believes you. You're just trying to get clicks, and obviously stupid people like me are going to talk about it. But that's all you get, bruh. Well, let's get back to wrestling, because we live from Germany, you got WWE Raw on Netflix. So you got Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, the new women's tag team champions, kicking off the show. You got CM Punk appearing, the world heavyweight champion. You got the men's tag team champions, the Usos. Then Raquel Rodriguez probably going to address her attack on Stephanie Vakir. Whatever. It's stupid. I don't care. I really don't care. Give it to Raquel. Let her be the women's champion. And then let Liv, turn her back on her friend and, I don't know, take a title. I don't care. But then I care about this, though. Penta and Dragon Lee, love them both, versus Austin Theory and Bronson Reed in a tag match. Yeah. And then it has to be the main event. First time ever, you got the phenomenal AJ Styles taking on the Ring General Gunther in the main event of Raw, which starts at special time at 2 p.m. Eastern, because they're live in Germany on Netflix. So I'm going to tune in a few hours, and maybe I'll do a live reaction. Maybe I won't. But I can't wait for AJ Styles and Gunther. I think Gunther is going to win, but it's still going to be a banger regardless. So that's it for this week. If you felt the chaos, good, because it only gets crazier from here. The playoffs are here. Storylines are heating up on Raw, SmackDown, and we're not slowing down. So if you're rocking with this breakdown or other breakdowns, hit follow, share it, and we'll run it back each and every week, because this is Bishop's Breakdown. Same place, same energy, and we'll see you next time. So, like I always do, deuces, ooses.